Hello everyone, reporting live at the South Texas Wrestlefest here in Pharr, Texas. I am Jay Ochoa, the rock star, representing ARMBAR alongside 7-star Jaime Esteban and the Machine Tony Matuk. And we're joined by a legend in the wrestling business, one of the greatest minds and one of the greatest talents in all of professional wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, Al Snow. Al Snow, welcome to South Texas Wrestlefest.
Thanks for that intro, man. I'm actually impressed by myself.
Thank you, sir. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But Al Snow, of course, we're going to just start with a couple of questions. Tony, I'll go ahead and let you start out with your first question.
Thank you. Who influenced you into getting into professional wrestling?
As far as a direct influence, there was no direct influence. I used to, when I was growing up as a kid, I watched wrestling, and when I was 14, I made the decision that this was what I wanted to do, and I've been blessed to be able to do it for as long as I've been able to do it, so it's been awesome.
Awesome, Alan. Of course, as someone that came up in the territory days, do you see now in today's wrestling almost like a re-rise, almost similar to that of the territories, but a re-rise with more promotions coming up on television with your Ring of Honors, MLWs, Impacts, New Japans, where there's now more than one promotion out there today as it was maybe 10 years ago when it was just WWE and Impact on television?
Well, I'm glad that there are many more promotions out there, because that gives the talent more places, more opportunities to work, and more places to learn and develop their skills. And I hope that everyone doesn't just survive but thrives, because we as a business need it, and the fans. It's always good for you guys to have as much choice and as much competition, because it drives everyone to be better. But historically, we're just following the same loop. Wrestling was regionally promoted back in the 20s. Around the 30s, with the Gold Dust Trio, it became a nationally promoted event or show, and then it went back regionally, and then in the 50s it went back nationally, and then after the boom of the 50s it went back into a regional type of situation again until the early 80s, where Vince took it again. Between Vince and with Ted Turner and TBS, they took it nationally again, and then it's been pretty much on a national level ever since, and it's about time it'll start to turn and go back to a more regional way.
And as someone who is a mentor and also someone that is now the owner of Ohio Valley Wrestling, what is something that you instill in your students? What is the most valuable thing that you like to instill in them?
The two most valuable things that I want to instill in my students is, number one, knowing what their real job, what their sole purpose in wrestling is, which is to be an attraction, not a wrestler. It is to motivate you or your friends and family to leave the comfort, safety, and security of your home, drive to a building, pay to park, pay a lot of money to sit in a seat you don't want to sit in, around people you don't want to sit around, to watch them do their job. And that's probably one of the hardest jobs to do, especially these days, because there are so many options out there. The other is to understand that this is a business. It's an art, but it is a business, first and foremost. And you need to be worthy of whoever invests their time, money, and effort into you, be it the promoter who does so in promoting you, or especially the fans who have invested their time, money, and effort to pay to see you. And the only way that you're able to justify those investments is if you, in turn, invest even more time, money, and effort in yourself. If you don't, you want to treat this like a hobby, you want to treat this like a joke, or a pastime, or part-time pursuit, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it, and you only have yourself to blame.
Gotcha. It's almost like similar to that of what good is one's paintings if they're not selling.
You can be a starving artist if you want to be, but if you want to be a successful artist, then you have to be able to utilize your art to touch people, to want to motivate them, to them want to interact with your art via buying it, so that you can survive and just do what you love to do and nothing more. You don't have to have a regular job. You can just be an artist.
When I was watching you on Hannibal TV, there was a line you gave me. It was a line that you were sharing with everybody, and I actually took into consideration, especially in the working industry. If you don't make any money, you will not eat. You have to. I took that in consideration, especially in a business. If you're not making money, you're not going to be able to eat.
I tell a lot of prospective professional wrestlers, because I have heard every song and dance thoughts in 38 years that you can imagine of, oh, this is the only thing I want to do. I love it so much. I eat, breathe, and shit it. I'll do anything. I'll do anything. And out of 38 years of that, how many people do you think that I have told what to do to succeed? How many do you think actually went and did it? One. Just one. And that was Candice LeRae. The only person who actually did what she said she was going to do. She took the advice and went, and look where she's at now. She's with WWE and went NXT, and that's a testament to her more than it is anything else. When I hear that, I tell guys all the time, because everybody, all of you, even the ones watching at home, you all want to tell yourselves you hate your job. You don't, because you're not a tree. You can leave anytime you want. You go find another job, okay? You could go and do what you actually want to do if you really wanted to do it, but you don't because you love your job. And the reason you love your job is that you can show up every day and you can just put your time in and you're guaranteed to get paid. If you pursue something like professional wrestling, you only get what you actually make, what you earn, what you bring in, what you create. And if you don't bring anything in, you don't eat. But you go to a regular job, you're an employer. If you're an employee, you work at Walmart, which there's nothing wrong with that. More power to anybody. That was not for me. But my whole adult life, I've only been able to pay my bills and eat based on what I was able to make walk through the door to see me. And that was it.
Yes. So I have a couple of questions for you, sir. First of all, within the 30 plus years that you've done wrestling, what has been your favorite match? Like who has been your favorite opponent, favorite match style, anything?
Well, people ask that all the time, and I had this debate just recently with Mick Foley, Mick's like, oh, you can't say that, But to be honest, I don't have one favorite match. I love to, even if I got to go in the ring today, I would love every minute of it because it's what I've loved to do. It's not so much about, I've never, like I see everybody on social media and they always, back to the grind, I'm putting the work in. I can tell you honestly, in 38 years, I've never ground anything. I've never had to work for nothing. I've never been given anything, nothing. Okay, and I never got into the wrestling business to be famous, and I never got into the wrestling business to be rich. But that kind of followed because I've always done what I was passionate about doing. So as long as I've always done what I've been passionate about doing, I've never had to put in any work. I've never had to grind. I've never had to pick just one match that I thought was absolutely the most favorite one. There are so many matches I've had that, and I can't explain it, but when you're in there, and it becomes where things just happen at the right time for the right reason, and you react the right way, just enough, you go fast enough, you go slow enough, and the audience follows and they react the right way at the right time for the right reason, and it's effortless. It's really, quite honestly, it's like a drug, and that's what gets us hooked as wrestlers, is that we try to keep pursuing that type of a match every night, that we're wanting that all the time. And sometimes you can't get it, and sometimes you can get close, and sometimes you can hit that sweet spot, and those are my favorite matches. Those are the ones that when I'm in there and I can you just feel it, and it just happens. It's indescribable.
And final question for the uninitiative: how did the origins of the head start?
Well, at the time I had been in WWE, I had developed a pretty crappy attitude, which was my own fault because I was busy pointing the finger at everybody else and not at myself. I had tried to quit, and they rolled my contract over. They wouldn't let me quit. And so then I, through a lot of circumstance and through my very good friend Chris Candido, I got put on loan to ECW with Paul Heyman. Paul didn't have any plans for me. I went there specifically to get myself over. I just assumed that when I was doing the Leaf Cassidy gimmick, if anybody was that happy, something would have to be mentally wrong with them. And if for wrestling fans that really kind of, like the ECW fans, kind of knew, even back then, my story and career, I figured anybody who had been wrestling for 14, 15 years trying so hard to be successful would at some point get so frustrated they'd have a nervous breakdown. So I was reading a book on abnormal psychology, and there was a case study of a woman who had paranoid schizophrenia with what they call transference disorder, meaning she would hear voices from inanimate objects, and she would transfer her illness to the objects, believing they were insane, not her. That she was healthy, they were crazy. So that was, I found a styrofoam head, and I thought, I'm going to start to carry it to the ring, talk to it, interact with it, and treat it as if it's crazy, not me. And thank God it worked. So.
Awesome, sir. Well, Al Snow, we appreciate your time, and again, thank you for coming to South Texas Wrestlefest, and thank you for your contributions to the world of professional wrestling.
Well, thank you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Al Snow.